Warning, heavy spoilers for beginning after the end. Episode 1, you have been warned. The episode starts off with a really dramatic opening, an absolutely ruthless king. Mate, that shot of him standing while watching all of those bombs being dropped into the city was absolutely horrifying. It honestly made me wish that the entire series was about this king in this world instead of the baby he was reincarnated into. Because bloody hell mate, that looks like an interesting plot line. The haunting shot of all of the civilians lying down in this pool of blood while the king is high on his throne already has so much meaning. How this king, in order to rise to the top, had to become a devil to get what he wanted, and I can only assume power. But then there is a shot of him pressing his hand against the crown and looking quite glum, a very interesting scene. The final shot of this king in this original world before he is teleported into this new world is a high angle shot showing us how vulnerable and small this king feels. Even though this king is the ruler of this world, to him it's not enough. And we do sort of see why that feeling is not enough. But we'll get to that later on. Mate, it is incredibly unclear how the king died. Did he fall into a river? Or was he Control-Alt-Deleted by another rival country? Regardless, for such a ruthless, deadly king, he did seem to have a really majestic, calming, melancholic reincarnation scene of this leaf floating towards him and him waking up into the new world. I couldn't help but laugh at the scene of him looking up at his new parents, this cold-hearted, ruthless king reincarnated into this adorable baby. Something about that is just incredibly funny to me. But we get introduced to Alice and Reynolds, Arthur's new parents, and I don't judge anyone who wants to have children at whatever age, but bloody hell mate, these guys look incredibly young. What are they, 19, 20? We do get some funny gags with Arthur feeling like this baby body is some sort of prison, but baby Arthur wanting to understand this world more reads a book, and I do like how we get an introduction into this new world. I feel like this anime was inspired by Lord of the Rings because we have a dwarf kingdom, an elf kingdom, and the kingdom of humans. Arthur did make the comparison how primitive this world is compared to his old world, and I also was quite stunned at the fact that Arthur, in a medieval type outfit, seems to be living in a futuristic world. Interesting choice to combine some of the medieval elements with the futuristic stuff. It just makes me even more frustrated that we weren't in that old world a little bit longer, because to me that world seemed more interesting than what this world is going on. To me this world I feel like has been done before. We've got the dwarves, the elves and the humans, they don't get along with one another and all that jazz. It's been done so many times that I'm honestly a little bored of this trope with the humans, dwarves and elves. Hopefully as this show goes on we will get to know this world a little bit more. Maybe there are some twists and turns that will spice up the plot for me. But I will admit that the power system is really interesting. You are either two types of people, an argumenting, somebody with the ability to attack and defend themselves. I assume anyone with that power would be a soldier of some kind. And then you have a conjurer, controlling and projecting mana however they please. Honestly mate, I would rather be a conjurer, because it seems like the conjurers have the ability to control water and fire. If they can also heal as well, that would make their powers even more awesome in my opinion. I do like how Arthur hated the idea of being a baby, but as he got to know Alice and Reynolds more, he was like, hey, this isn't so bad after all. We have a flashback of what appears to be Arthur's old life, and I must praise the anime in this scene where we have a flashback of him as a child in what appears to be an orphanage, watching other kids go home with their newfound families. It's really sad because it does look like this is the one thing Arthur never got to experience. He seemed incredibly cut off from humans and only valued fighting and rising up to the top, conquering other nations and all that jazz. But this scene of him defeating a boy in some sort of combat training, even though he won, he felt like he lost because the boy at the end of the day has his mom and dad to look after him and be there for him. But Arthur, he had nobody. and I do believe this is why he feels empty on the inside. Again, the anime does a great job at capturing the emotions of what the characters are going through, without any dialogue at all. The scene of Arthur crying after he blew up the house by accident, to me has so much meaning. All this Arthur character knows is fighting and conquering, that to him that is all that matters to him. But when he accidentally blew up the house, he ended up hurting people who cared for him, and seeing that they were concerned for him even though he saw how injured they were, I think struck a chord with him. I like this scene a lot, as it shows the character development Arthur has gone through. I feel like this is going to have a chain reaction effect later on in his life, where he will now start to value human lives over his own selfish ambitions. I feel like, unlike in his previous world where he was conquering and ruling, just absolutely slaying anyone who didn't agree with him, taking what he wanted whenever he wanted, I think now Arthur in this new baby body will start to fight for justice, for peace on Earth. And I think this new Arthur will fight for those who cannot fight back. That will be a really fascinating story to watch, and I am indeed looking forward to the future of the beginning after the end. Early on in the episode, we saw Ranald fighting off some of these wild monsters, and there was a group of humans behind him, looking at him, smiling at him. I wonder if these guys are going to play any key role in the future of this anime. Overall, I must admit that I enjoyed the episode quite a bit. Yes, I must admit that I did wish the first half of the episode focused more on Arthur's past life, seeing what the world was like for him in that old world before, as it looked so cool, futuristic, and really mysterious in my opinion. But I can only assume that the entire of this anime will focus on new baby Arthur in this new world. Maybe we could get more flashbacks into that old world, that would be absolutely amazing. But I think I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. Really good episode indeed. I must admit that I am quite stunned that this episode has over 77,000 likes. For an anime that I never knew existed until a couple of days ago, that is indeed quite impressive. The anime is based on an American webtoon. I have never heard of it, but I can only assume that this webtoon is more or less quite successful for it to get an anime adaptation. Regardless, I'm looking forward to episode 2. Cannot wait for it. But tell me in the comments down below, what did you guys think of all this? Did you like or hate the episode? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more videos on the beginning after the end, as well as other anime news updates, reviews, comparisons, breakdowns, rankings, and more. But thank you for watching, and as always, a boy dude review signing out.